So this your mine, huh?
Yes, this is my mine. My dad showed it to me about 5 years ago.
Well, that's
Here
a
you
beanie.
go, Fred. I'll let you do the honors.
There's a hat in it.
Oh, that actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
You guys ready to weigh this up?
Yep, I am.
Most miners remember the places where they struck gold, but there are also places they remember for the opposite reason, the ground that defeated them. This was one of those claims. Years ago, crews arrived with heavy machines, high hopes, and serious investment, convinced that something valuable had to be hidden beneath the surface. Instead, they found nothing but relentless mud, flooding water, and equipment failures that drained both time and money. One by one, the operations shut down. Investors backed away, crews hauled their machines out, and the claim was quietly written off as a costly mistake. In the world of mining, land like this earns a reputation fast, not as a treasure site, but as a place where ambition goes to sink into the mud. Over time, the ground was left alone, slowly fading into the long list of locations that miners simply stopped believing in. But sometimes the ground keeps secrets long after people stop searching. When Freddy Dodge and Juan Ibarra arrive at the Forgotten Claim, they don't come with excitement or bold predictions. They come with experience. Years of working difficult ground have trained them to notice the small details most miners miss. Freddy studies the way the mud shifts under pressure, watching carefully as the excavator begins clearing the surface. Juan listens to the water flow through the pumps, quietly analyzing the patterns beneath the noise of the machinery. Within minutes, something feels different. The mud behaves strangely, almost as if something solid lies hidden beneath the layers of sediment. Juan points out that the water pressure is reacting in a way that suggests an underground structure. It's not proof yet, but it's enough to keep digging. As the machines go deeper, the tension begins to build. Pumps roar at full power, fighting the constant threat of flooding. Every bucket of mud pulled from the ground could either reveal nothing or uncover something massive. Then the first clues appear. Tiny flashes of gold begin showing up in the material, far more than anyone expected from a claim that was supposedly exhausted years ago. When the test results finally come in, the numbers are shocking. The gold concentration is nearly 6 times higher than normal, and deeper below, they uncover signs of what looks like an ancient sealed channel system, something that could have trapped enormous amounts of gold over time. If that buried channel continues the way it started, the value beneath this forgotten ground could climb somewhere between $100 million and $125 million. Suddenly, what once looked like a failed claim starts to look like one of the biggest rediscoveries the mining world has seen in years. And the most mysterious part? This ground had already been explored before, which raises the question no one can answer yet. Did earlier miners simply miss the richest spot? Or did the earth itself hide the gold again? When Freddy and Juan step onto the site, there is no celebration or loud excitement. They quietly get out of the vehicle and take a long look around. Their expressions show neither happiness nor disappointment, only a calm, focused confidence. That calmness is what separates them from many other miners. Freddy doesn't rush to inspect the machines or ask about gold totals. Instead, he studies the ground itself. He kneels down, runs the soil through his fingers, and watches carefully how the water moves across the surface. Juan, meanwhile, stands slightly farther back, surveying the entire area. They exchange very few words, but their eyes reveal constant calculation. Their minds are already working through possibilities. Where others saw failure and wasted effort, Freddy and Juan see something different. To them, this claim isn't a dead end. It's an unfinished chapter. Their focus isn't on what went wrong years ago, but on what might still be possible now. Slowly, the atmosphere around the site begins to shift. Even the workers nearby sense that something has changed. Without making any big declarations, Freddy and Juan start interpreting the claim through their experience. Their quiet arrival feels less like a routine inspection and more like the opening moment of a much larger revelation. Not long after work begins, Freddy notices something unusual about the mud. Its movement isn't normal. Instead of flowing smoothly, it feels heavier, almost as if something dense is traveling through it with the water. This is the kind of detail that most people would overlook, but experienced miners don't. Freddy pauses. At the same time, the water pressure begins behaving unpredictably. Even with the pumps running at full strength, the flow keeps changing. speeding up suddenly and then slowing down without warning. Juan notices it too and signals to Freddy. Both of them immediately realize that this isn't a typical drainage pattern. Little clues begin appearing beneath the mud. Sometimes the equipment suddenly feels heavier. Sometimes the texture of the material shifts completely, as if something solid is interfering with the flow underground. Freddy stays silent for several seconds before quietly saying, "Something's not right here." The words are soft, but everyone hears them. The atmosphere changes instantly. Conversations stop. The joking disappears. Every worker understands that when Freddy says something like that, it usually means one of two things: a major discovery or a serious danger. From that moment forward, the project stops being a simple recovery effort. It becomes a high-risk mission. As Juan studies the mud more closely, he quickly realizes this is no ordinary material. He has seen this kind of clay before, in other places where the surface told one story, but the ground beneath told another. Juan isn't only looking at the color or texture, he's also feeling the weight of the mud in his hands, and it feels unusually dense. Memories from past sites begin connecting in his mind. In several similar situations, heavy mud like this had eventually revealed old underground channel systems that had been hidden for decades. To Juan, sudden changes in the behavior of mud and water usually mean one thing: something solid is blocking the path below. He pauses to think and then shares his observation with Freddy in his own quiet way. The mud may look soft on the surface, he explains, but underneath it seems to be under serious pressure. Pressure like that rarely forms without a cause. To Juan, it suggests that a large deposit might be sitting below, something that has been controlling the underground flow for years. At this point, his confidence grows stronger. This isn't just speculation to him. It's a conclusion built from years of experience in similar conditions. And he knows that if they walk away now, they might repeat the same mistake others made before, leaving something enormous buried beneath their feet. As the excavation continues, the strain on the machines becomes impossible to ignore. Pumps begin working harder, and their sound grows rougher. Equipment that had been operating smoothly earlier now starts to vibrate slightly. For experienced miners, that vibration is a warning sign that cannot be ignored. Water pressure keeps rising. Sometimes it surges forward suddenly. Other times it feels as if the entire system might stall. Every increase in pressure raises the risk that a pipe could burst or a machine could jam completely. Freddy and Juan both understand that one small mistake could shut the whole operation down. Then there is a moment when the machines begin sounding different, almost uneasy. The vibrations grow stronger, and it feels as if something unpredictable could happen at any second. No one speaks. Workers simply stand where they are, staring at the equipment and waiting for the next signal. And that is the moment when the real struggle begins. Man against nature. On one side, powerful machines pushing themselves to the limit. On the other, the land itself, quietly guarding whatever it has hidden for years. This is the moment when the team must decide whether to keep going or pull back, because now the stakes aren't just about gold, they're about safety. As the tension rises, the mood across the site shifts dramatically. The laughter and casual chatter from earlier fade away. Workers who had been joking just minutes before now move around quietly, focused only on their tasks. No one is smiling anymore. Every pair of eyes is fixed on the pumps, the pipes, and the thick mud being pulled from the ground, as if the entire system could fail at any second. The expressions on the workers' faces say more than words ever could. Some stand with deep lines across their foreheads. Others keep wiping their hands nervously. A few remain farther away, watching everything carefully without speaking. No one openly talks about fear, but everyone feels it. The risk level has clearly climbed far beyond what anyone would call normal. It's the kind of fear that doesn't need to be spoken aloud. It simply fills the air. The usual small talk that happens during work disappears completely. People know that if something goes wrong here, it won't just stop the job. It could put lives at risk. So the entire crew becomes sharper, quieter, and more alert. Freddy and Juan notice the silence right away. They understand something important about moments like this. When a full crew senses danger without saying a word, the situation has reached a critical point. From here on, every step must be taken with extreme care. In the middle of this tense atmosphere, someone notices a faint sparkle in the mud. It isn't a large nugget or a solid chunk of gold, just tiny flakes, small enough to miss if you weren't looking carefully, but they're there. The entire crew's attention instantly focuses on that single spot. Samples are checked, and the first readings begin to come in. The numbers aren't huge yet, but they're enough to spark cautious hope. Gold is clearly present. The only question now is whether these flakes are scattered randomly, or connected to something much bigger. Freddy refuses to jump to conclusions. He studies the results quietly, examining each detail before reacting. This becomes the hardest moment emotionally. Hope begins to grow, but fear grows with it. On one hand, it looks like this abandoned claim might finally be coming back to life after years of failure. On the other hand, experienced miners know that small gold flakes can sometimes lead people in the wrong direction. Many miners have celebrated too early after seeing signals like this. Freddy makes it clear, this isn't the time to celebrate. These are indicators, he explains, not proof. The team understands exactly what he means. The real test is still ahead. If these signals continue appearing in the next runs, then something significant could be hiding below. For now, the flakes simply suggest one thing. This story isn't over yet. In fact, it may only be starting. Once the first clues appear, Freddy begins digging deeper, not into the ground, but into the numbers. Now, the focus shifts from visual signs to technical readings. Machine data starts revealing a pattern. Slowly, a different picture begins to form. The gold concentration showing up in the samples is far above normal expectations. When the team compares the results with typical claims, the difference becomes obvious. The density appears to be nearly 6 times higher. That kind of number is extremely rare. Freddy stares silently at the data screen. He doesn't say anything at first, and that silence says everything. Because when Freddy stops talking, it usually means he's seeing something extraordinary. Then another piece of information surfaces. Buried beneath the mud is what appears to be a sealed channel system, an underground pathway where water and sediment once flowed, but has been blocked for years. This type of system can act like a natural trap, concentrating gold in one place over a long period of time. When such a channel finally opens again, the gold doesn't trickle out slowly. It can come out in large quantities. These new findings change the entire conversation. Now, it's no longer speculation. The data itself is pointing towards something major. If these readings hold true, this claim could become far more than a simple recovery project. It could turn into a significant discovery. But this raises an even bigger mystery. If so much gold was sitting here, why didn't anyone find it earlier? Records showed that this claim was explored before. Equipment had been brought in, money was spent, and digging had taken place. Yet, in the end, the site was abandoned as a failure. That's where the puzzle begins. One possibility is that earlier miners simply dug in the wrong spot. They might have focused on the surface layers and never realized what was happening deeper underground. Technology and techniques have improved over the years, and sometimes discoveries only happen when experience and timing finally line up. Gold can sit right beneath someone's feet, but without the right understanding, it remains invisible. There's also a more unsettling possibility. Was the truth overlooked or intentionally ignored? Gold mining has seen situations before where risks were too high, or data wasn't fully understood. In rare cases, discoveries were even downplayed or misinterpreted. Whatever the reason, Freddy and Juan realize something important. They aren't just recovering a failed claim. They may be correcting mistakes that were made years earlier. And that realization makes the situation feel even more mysterious and more dangerous. When people hear numbers like $100 million or more, the first reaction is usually disbelief. It sounds exaggerated, but for Freddy and Juan's team, these numbers aren't guesses. They come from careful calculations. Valuation in mining isn't based on excitement. It's based on data. The first step is identifying how the gold appears. Is it scattered randomly or concentrated within a channel system? If the channel has been sealed for years and is now opening, it means large amounts of gold-bearing material could suddenly start flowing out. Next comes sample testing. The crew processes measured amounts of mud and gravel to see how much gold they produce. If an average claim produces 1 unit of gold from a certain volume, and this site produces 6 units from the same amount, that means the concentration is 6 times higher. Then the team studies the physical dimensions of the system, its width, depth, and length. If the gold appears across a wide underground channel rather than a single point, it becomes a full deposit rather than a lucky spot. That difference alone can turn a small discovery into something worth tens or even hundreds of millions. Another key factor is continuity. Finding gold once doesn't prove much, but if multiple runs from the same zone keep producing results, it suggests the supply below is still strong. After that, all the costs are calculated: fuel, machinery, maintenance, labor, and risk. Only when the projected output remains high, even after subtracting those costs, does the valuation become realistic. Based on these calculations, if the channel system continues delivering gold and the total recovery reaches roughly 2,500 kilograms, the value could approach about $125 million at international market prices. So, the number isn't exaggerated. It's a data-driven estimate. But as the potential value increases, so does the danger. Now, the team stands at a difficult crossroads. This decision is no longer just about money. It's about responsibility and survival. On one side lies the chance to make mining history. Opportunities like this appear only once in a lifetime, if at all. On the other side is the same unstable mud, the same pressure building in the system, and the same unseen risks that could destroy everything in seconds. The team becomes divided. Some workers argue that it's time to stop. Safety must come first. The rising pump pressure, stronger vibrations, and strange machine noises are all warning signs that the system is under serious stress. A single pipe bursting, a jammed shaft, or a sudden ground shift could collapse the entire operation. And if someone is standing in the wrong place when that happens, the consequences could be immediate and devastating. But others believe stopping now would mean losing the opportunity forever. If the channel system closes again, the gold could become buried and unreachable once more. The claim would return to being just another forgotten site. Freddy and Juan both feel the weight of this decision. The tension shows clearly on their faces. They know that either choice, continuing or stopping, could turn out to be right or terribly wrong. That uncertainty is what makes this stage the most dangerous of all. Anyone who has worked with Freddy knows he's usually direct and vocal when analyzing a situation. So, when he suddenly grows quiet, people pay attention. Because sometimes, Freddy's silence is the loudest warning in the entire operation. Normally, Freddy talks while he works. He explains what he's seeing, offers small hints to the crew, and sometimes even cracks a light comment to ease the tension. But today is different. There are no long explanations, no speculation. Freddy simply watches. His eyes move from the machines to the mud, then to the data screens. He barely says a word. And strangely, that silence is what unsettles everyone the most. People with years of experience tend to grow quiet when they fully understand the seriousness of a situation. When the danger becomes so real that talking feels pointless, silence takes over. Freddy knows that a single mistake here wouldn't just mean losing gold. It could put lives at risk. So, he studies everything carefully before saying anything at all. His quiet focus spreads across the crew. The team can sense the gravity of the moment. When someone inexperienced feels nervous, they ask questions. But when the most seasoned person on site suddenly stops talking, it sends a very different signal. In the end, the project could be frozen indefinitely. And instead of gold, all that would remain are unanswered questions. That's why Freddy and Juan move slowly with every decision. They know that the difference between success and disaster can come down to a single mistake. When the stakes reach this level, the most terrifying moment is when moving forward feels dangerous. But stopping feels just as risky. Now, another even bigger question begins to form. What if the gold they've seen so far is only the surface layer? In mining, this happens more often than people realize. Sometimes a small amount of gold appears near the top, acting almost like a signal, pointing toward a much larger system deeper underground. Freddy and Juan start considering that possibility. The channel system they have uncovered doesn't look small or isolated. The direction of the water flow, the structure of the soil, and the overall formation suggests something much older and larger. For now, the team knows only one thing. The clues beneath the surface suggest this discovery could be far bigger than anyone expected. And if that turns out to be true, this forgotten claim might not just produce gold. It might rewrite mining history. So, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, because the next discovery might reveal what's really hidden beneath the ground.